G'day guys, welcome back to the Time Bomb channel. Hope all is good in your part of the world. And encased in here we have the Enigwatch Impresario Series 2 watch winder, watch safe. And something about this tells me that you guys are going to absolutely love it. It's a monstrous piece here on the desk. So bear with me just while I do a gradual reveal. The the video today is sponsored by Enigwatch, as they have sent this one in for review. And as you can see, as I'm opening up here, it's a it's a statement piece, to say the least. One second. Alright guys, so there we go. Got everything set up downstairs now. Once the plastic's removed, because yeah, this thing is too big to sit on my little desk and give you a proper perspective of it, size wise and everything. Yeah, as I say, plastic's removed and everything. I mean, I probably said it just before now. I've reviewed a couple of watch winders here on the channel, and they were the economy versions, because this one is just a massive step up in every single level. I'll go into some more details as to why I think that in a second. Super classy. It kind of reminds me of something that you'd see on James Bond's dressing table, and that of course is the recent James Bond, and those that came before. No comment about the future Jameses, or whatever they're going to call them in the future. From the getting back to specifics, from the Impresario range, this then is obviously the 2 version winder that they do. They also then do a 6 watch version here, slightly bigger step up, and then this absolute monster option of a 12 watch winder. But bear in mind that you will need a very solid piece of furniture to stand that beast on, because it weighs in at over 15 kilograms. Key specs of this one then, as you can see sat in front of me here, it's very tall. It's 36 centimeters tall, and then you've got that top section here, which is around 31 centimeters, obviously allowing, if I can just tilt it a bit there to show you the base underneath. It's then 20 centimeters wide and 19 centimeters front to back, and then also to note, it's quite a hefty unit, because it comes in at 5.5 kilos. So as I say, really quite a solid lump and piece of kit here. So let me just pop him back open again. So there's the first reveal of one of the key aspects of the watch, which I find absolutely, of the watch winder, that I find fascinating. And we've got over here, we have a little fingerprint recognition panel. Brilliant touch to operating and also then securing your watches within. Adds a nice little detail. You can store up to 5 fingerprints in this, and you can also delete them as well, which is important if you're considering selling it on at some point. But again, with only 5, be considerate of who you're giving access to your watches. Within the box then, obviously you've got some comfy cushions. So let me just tilt it around here, and then this is obviously where our watches go. So depending on the size of your watch and the strappage that you're using, you've then got the option. Let me just throw a couple on here for you to see. I mean, yeah, we can put them in that way around. Just squidge that one in there. Just for purposes, that's the Whoop-Ass racing watch, all the way from the great US of A, and then all the way from the other part of the world. We have there the Kronos, and so we'll just slot that one in there, just to give you some examples of what your watch is going to look like. It also then comes with a very handy remote control. Yeah, a nice way of interacting in a leisurely fashion to not of course that you really need it. So let me just make sure these turned on. Lights, yes, there we go. I was just trying to figure out where the receiver is for this one, because it picks it up from different places. And obviously with this you can click him into action, and off he he says. The earth goes there, and off it starts winding. Now, as I say, all of the functions that you find on here are replicated on the touch screen below. Let me just go through them while the watches are winding around there. So on the screen then we obviously have our internal LED light. Line refers to line 1, line 2, so you leave it on 0 and both of them oscillate. TPD is turns per day, and so with this you can then change the number of revolutions that your watch will make during a day. You notice that it pauses each time round that you touch one of these things. So if you're going to be messing around with that, you'll just need to restart it. Direction obviously refers to the direction of the spin, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and bidirectional. That's something that you're going to need to consider when looking at your watch movement and the rotor and how that connects. And obviously again, so turns per day, obviously then, you know, as you'd expect, it's a 24-hour period. Let me just spin it around the back to give you a shot here. I might have to disconnect the power cable, but as you can see here, look at that Macassar wood as we come round. I mean, the finishing on it is exemplary. Really very, very, very impressive indeed. On and off button, power in, charge, and then rotation. Now, charge refers to, in the instructions, it talks about charging this for an hour before you start using it. I don't know if that means it's got an internal rechargeable battery. It doesn't explain that in the guide. So if you know different, please drop me a comment. And they also have rotation on the back here, which I didn't understand what the function of that is or the necessity of that is, because you've got rotation on the touchscreen and you've got rotation on the remote. So why do you need an extra one here? I'm not 100% sure on that. But coming back around to the front, let's just get it off there so you don't get the reflection of me in there. I also watched, coming back to that charge aspect, I watched a review of one of these a while ago, and the guy was complaining that it didn't have a battery function in the back to use batteries rather than mains when utilizing the winder. Now, personally, I don't really think that that's a fail at all, because this thing, as I say, it weighs 5.5 kilos. It's a very solid lump. I'm not sure that I really want to be porting it around with me on vacation. But as I say, with that charge function at the back, maybe you don't need to. Again, I've not had it that long to understand what that charge function actually does. I'll get onto that as and when I've had it for a little bit more time. So we've got other aspects to the winder that I wanted to highlight you to. That little function here. As I say, you can just see there the internal fittings here. I mean, these are super smooth. Everything's so cleanly put together. A massive, and I just can't keep emphasizing this, and I know they've sent it to me for review, but I cannot emphasize how much better this winder is than any of the other winders that I've reviewed on the channel. Those have been decent, but this one is just a super step up. The one issue I'm thinking about with the fingerprint recognition here is, what is plan B? So should, for example, or whatever reason there is, that actually fail, how do you release the catch? Again, if you've got any ideas or suggestions, and hopefully it doesn't involve a crowbar, I'll be interested to hear about them. Again, just while we're doing watches inside, I was referencing the aspect of getting the right settings for your watches. You know, my watch is in here for a couple of minutes while I'm doing the review isn't going to damage the movement if they're on the wrong settings, but clearly caveat yourselves to the fact that when you put your watches in here and you're using it for a long period of time, you do need to make sure those settings are correct, otherwise you will damage the movement over a longer period of time. One other aspect I wanted to focus on, and that was the sound, because they claim it's 10 decibels only. So let's just have a quick listen while I function, where we hear them. So off we go. So yeah, you're picking up a buzz there from this, but then when you close the door, it's almost imperceptible. Really struggle to hear anything off that. So you could, if your bedside table was large enough, pop this on there and it would function just fine. Mine's a little bit smaller, so it won't be sitting on there. to me, the visuals of the watch winder are absolutely superb. I mean, they've done a brilliant job. That inner lighting, the way that it frames the watches as they spin around, that heavy wood grain appeal on the side here is absolutely brilliant. It reminds me a little bit of a meme that I used to use a few years back, asking if your motorbike was thinking of you. Here, I don't think you need to think about whether your watches are thinking of you, because you can shove them in here and you can have them watching you all day long to your heart's content. Other thing I was thinking of as well, the touchscreen down here has been designed, I think, with very simple use in mind. It's super functional. It's not rocket surgery figuring out what's going on in here, and yeah, everything super responsive. Very well executed in all senses. If Enigwatch are looking for any feedback on this winder and their overall range, I would probably say that this only comes in this one colour. The whole range comes in this one colour, the Macassar wood, and that Macassar, I think, is a very retro wood grain. It's going to fit right in on a movie set, but it might not be what everybody's looking for their house. So I don't know, offer something up that comes up in, like an oak finish or something like that, or maybe leather is also a nice finishing on these things. The other thing that I've had an issue with today is the size of it. It's a big old unit. I just see this being sat somewhere and you leave it there and you never touch it again. But that might not be the case for everybody. So I think, in order to widen their range of products, introduce some of these, occupy a little bit less real estate in people's houses. I think that would be highly beneficial. And again, whilst a very classy piece, I do think that the $500 mark is probably going to put it out of some people's ranges. So again, maybe that's something they might consider in the future. A smaller Anyman version, something like that might be appropriate. And lastly, the specs on the website I found to be a little bit mixed. Some show these weighing at 5.5, some at 7 kilos. The dimensions are also incorrect. It's 36 centimeters tall, that's around 14 inches. On the website it shows 18 inches. These are minor niggles, but I think for the prices that they're asking, I think that they should have these details exact. All right, and that's a wrap for today, guys. Massive thanks to Enigwatch for sharing this one in for review. It's a stunning piece of kit for any modern gentleman. Highly recommended. But over to you guys, as always. What are your thoughts on these? We've had conversations around watch winders in the past, and I think we've concluded that yes, they're very nice, sexy pieces of kit to be used correctly and appropriately, so as not to damage your watch. All right, guys, massive thanks again, Enigwatch. Massive thanks to you guys for your time and your view, and we'll catch you all in the next review. Cheers, guys.